What would you do if your own brother used family dinners to publicly humiliate you for years? I never thought I would be the person to blow up a family dinner, but here we are. My name is Benjamin Martinez. I am 29 years old, and I work as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Austin. I make good money, really good money actually, somewhere in the low six figures, but I have never been the type to flaunt it. I drive a used Honda, I live in a modest apartment, and I still clip coupons like my mom taught me when I was a kid. The only people who know exactly what I make are my accountant, my HR department, and apparently my older brother Matthew, who somehow found out and decided to make it his personal mission to remind everyone at every single family gathering. Matthew is 33, 4 years older than me, and for as long as I can remember he has been the golden child in our family. He was the star athlete in high school, the one who could charm anyone, the one my parents always talked about with this special kind of pride in their voices. I was the quiet one, the nerdy kid who spent Friday nights debugging code instead of going to parties. Our parents never compared us out loud, but the unspoken hierarchy was always there, Matthew on top, me trailing behind in his shadow. Things shifted about 3 years ago when I landed my current job. The salary was more than I ever imagined making at 26, and suddenly I had the financial freedom to do things I had only dreamed about. I paid off my student loans in one lump sum. I started contributing to my retirement account. I even bought our parents a new dishwasher when theirs broke, because why not? I could afford it and they had done so much for me growing up. That is when Matthew started with the comments. It began innocently enough, or at least I thought it was innocent. We were at Sunday dinner at my parents' house, which is a sacred tradition in the Martinez family, and my mom mentioned that I had sent her some money to help with groceries that month. Matthew looked up from his plate of enchiladas and said, with this weird little smile, well, big spender Benjamin, maybe you should just adopt mom and dad at this point. Everyone laughed, including me, because what else do you do? But there was something in his tone, something sharp underneath the joke that made my stomach twist just a little. The comments continued. At my cousin's birthday party, Matthew made a big show of saying he could not afford to split the bill evenly because some of us make tech money, while looking directly at me. At Thanksgiving, he asked loudly if I was going to fly first class to our uncle's place in Denver because I probably had miles to burn. At Christmas, when I gave our parents a decent gift, he stage whispered to our aunt that it must be nice to buy love. Every single time, my parents would laugh it off or change the subject. My dad would say something like, Matthew, be nice to your brother, but in this tone that suggested he thought it was all good-natured ribbing. My mom would pat Matthew's hand and say, now, you know Benjamin works very hard for his money. But here's the thing, Matthew was not working hard for his money, because Matthew barely had any money. He had gone to college on a football scholarship, graduated with a degree in business, and then proceeded to drift from one failed venture to another. He tried selling insurance, then nutritional supplements, then got really into cryptocurrency right before the market crashed. He was always talking about his next big opportunity, his next deal that was definitely going to pan out this time, but nothing ever did. I knew he was struggling. I saw the signs. He still lived in the same tiny apartment he had rented right after college. His car had a crack in the windshield that had been there for 2 years. He started showing up to family dinners right around mealtime, always with an empty stomach and always ready to take home leftovers. But instead of asking for help, instead of being honest about his situation, he chose to tear me down, piece by piece, dinner by dinner. The turning point came about 8 months ago when our dad had a heart attack. It was not massive, thank God, but it was serious enough that he needed surgery and a bunch of follow-up care that our parents' insurance did not fully cover. The bills started piling up. My mom tried to hide how stressed she was, but I could see it in the way her hands shook when she sorted through the medical statements, and the way she started buying the cheap brand of coffee instead of her favorite. I did not even think about it. I just started paying the bills. I set up automatic payments for the monthly installments. I covered the copays for Dad's cardiac rehab. I even hired a cleaning service to come twice a month so Mom would not have to worry about housework while taking care of Dad. It cost me about $15,000 over the course of 6 months, but honestly, it did not even make a dent in my savings. My parents needed help, I could help, so I did. I did not tell anyone because I did not need anyone to know. This was not about getting credit or praise. This was about making sure my dad got the care he needed and my mom did not have a breakdown from stress. I figured Matthew did not know because no one told him, and that was fine by me. The less attention on it, the better. But somehow Matthew noticed. It was a Sunday dinner in late April, about 6 months after Dad's heart attack. Dad was doing great, back to his normal self, even back to yelling at the TV during football games. Mom had made her famous chili rellenos, and the whole family was gathered around the table, me, Matthew, our parents, and our younger cousin Olivia, who was visiting from San Antonio. We were talking about summer plans when Matthew suddenly turned to me and said, "So Benjamin, now that you are basically funding the family, are you going to start charging us interest on your generosity?" The table went quiet. I felt my face get hot. "What are you talking about?" I said, trying to keep my voice even. "Oh, come on," Matthew said, leaning back in his chair with this smug expression. "We all know you have been playing hero since Dad got sick. Writing checks left and right, making sure everyone knows how successful you are. Must feel good to have everyone depend on you." "I was not playing hero," I said quietly. "I was helping our parents." "Right, helping," Matthew made air quotes with his fingers. "Or maybe buying your way into being the favorite son. I mean, that is what money does, right? It makes people like you more." "Matthew," my mom said, her voice sharp. "That is enough." But he was not done. He looked around the table like he was performing for an audience. "I am just saying, it must be exhausting for Benjamin, having to prove himself all the time by throwing money at problems. Some of us actually have authentic relationships with our family that are not based on our bank accounts." That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I put down my fork very carefully. I looked at Matthew, really looked at him, and I saw it clearly for the first time. This was not about me. This had never been about me. This was about him, about his failures, about his desperate need to feel superior to someone, anyone, even his younger brother who had only ever wanted to help. "You want to talk about money, Matthew?" I said, my voice calm but cold. "Let us talk about money." "Benjamin," my dad said, a warning in his tone. "No, Dad," I said, still looking at Matthew. "If Matthew wants to have this conversation, let us have it. Let us talk about who is really dependent on family generosity here." Matthew's face changed. Just for a second, I saw panic flicker across his expression before he covered it with that same cocky smile. "I do not know what you are talking about," he said. "Really?" I said. "You do not want to talk about the $25,000. The room went silent. Like, absolutely silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the carpet. "What $25,000, my mom said slowly, looking between me and Matthew. I kept my eyes on Matthew. His face had gone pale. "The $25,000 that Dad loaned him 18 months ago. The loan that Matthew promised to pay back within a year. The loan that Dad asked him to keep quiet about because he did not want Mom to worry about the money coming out of their retirement savings." I watched the color drain completely from Matthew's face. My mom turned to look at my dad, her expression a mixture of shock and hurt. "David," she said to my father, "is this true?" My dad closed his eyes. He looked old suddenly, and tired. "Yes," he said quietly. "It is true. You took $25,000 from our retirement," my mom said, her voice rising. "And you did not tell me." "He needed help," my dad said weakly. "He had some debts, he was going to lose his apartment, I could not just let him fail." "How did you know about this?" Matthew said to me, and his voice was shaking now, all the smugness gone. I shrugged. Dad mentioned it once when he was stressed about the medical bills. He did not mean to tell me, but he was worried about money and it slipped out. He told me you were supposed to pay him back by last March. It is almost May now. So I am curious, Matthew, where is that money? Matthew stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "You have no right," he started. "No right," I cut him off, and now I was angry, really angry. "You have spent months making me feel like garbage for helping our parents. You have mocked me, belittled me, and tried to make me look bad in front of our entire family, all while you are the one who actually took money from them and never paid it back. Money they needed, money they are going to need even more now that Dad has medical expenses. So do not talk to me about having no right. Matthew, my mom said, and her voice cracked. Is he telling the truth? Did you take that money and not pay it back? I am working on it, Matthew said, but he would not look at her. I have some deals in the works. I am going to pay them back. You have been saying that for years, I said. You always have some deal in the works, some big opportunity, but nothing ever happens. And meanwhile, Mom and Dad are struggling, and I am the bad guy for actually helping them. Get out, Matthew said to me. Excuse me, I said. Get out of this house, Matthew said, his face red now. This is not your business. This is between me and Mom and Dad. Actually, my mom said, standing up. Benjamin is not going anywhere. But Matthew, I think you should leave. Matthew stared at her like she had slapped him. What? He said. You heard me, my mom said, and I had never heard her voice sound like that, cold and hard. You took money from us, you lied about paying it back, and then you sat at this table week after week mocking your brother for helping us. I do not want to see you right now. Matthew looked around the table, at Dad who would not meet his eyes, at Cousin Olivia who was staring at her plate, at me. When his eyes met mine, I saw something I had never seen before, genuine shame, mixed with rage. This is not over, he said to me, and then he grabbed his jacket and walked out. The door slammed behind him so hard the pictures on the wall rattled. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then my mom sat back down, put her face in her hands, and started crying. Dad got up and went to her, wrapping his arms around her shoulders. I just sat there, feeling numb and wired at the same time, like I had just jumped off a cliff and was not sure if I was going to land safely or crash. Olivia quietly excused herself and went to the living room. I should have felt victorious, maybe, or satisfied that I had finally defended myself. Instead, I just felt tired. After Mom stopped crying, we talked. Really talked, for the first time in maybe years. Dad explained that Matthew had come to him in a panic, saying he had credit card debt from some failed business venture and was about to be evicted. Dad, being Dad, could not stand the thought of his son being homeless, so he took the money from their retirement account without telling Mom. He said Matthew had promised, sworn up and down, that he would pay it back within a year, that he had a new job opportunity that was definitely going to work out. Of course, it did not work out. Nothing ever worked out for Matthew. Mom was hurt, not just about the money but about the lying. She kept saying, "How could you not tell me? How could you make that decision without me?" Dad did not have a good answer for that except that he was ashamed and scared and did not want her to think badly of Matthew. And what about Benjamin, Mom said, turning to me. You have been paying your father's medical bills. I did not know what to say. I just nodded. Why did you not tell us? She asked. Because I did not want you to feel like you owed me anything, I said. You guys have done so much for me my whole life. This was just my way of paying some of that back. My mom started crying again, but different this time. She got up and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for taking care of us. After that night, things shifted in the family. Matthew did not come to Sunday dinner the next week, or the week after that. My parents tried calling him, but he would not answer. He sent Dad a text saying he needed space to figure things out. Honestly, the dinners were more peaceful without him. We talked about normal things, like Mom's garden and Dad's new hobby of building birdhouses. Nobody made snide comments about my job or my money. It was nice, but also kind of sad, because Matthew was still my brother and I did not want him completely out of our lives. I just wanted him to stop being cruel. About 2 months after the blow-up, I got a text from Matthew. It just said, "Can we talk?" We met at a coffee shop near his apartment. He looked different, thinner maybe, and there were dark circles under his eyes. We sat down with our drinks and for a long moment neither of us said anything. I am sorry, Matthew finally said. I am really, really sorry. I did not know what to say, so I just waited. I have been seeing a therapist, he continued. Started right after that dinner. I thought I was going to argue my way out of it, convince everyone that you were the problem, not me. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I have been a complete asshole. I took a sip of my coffee. That is a start, I said. He laughed, but it was a bitter sound. I was jealous, he said. Is that pathetic or what? Jealous of my little brother. You got the good job, the stability, the success, all the things I thought I would have. And instead of being happy for you or trying to learn from you, I tore you down. I made myself feel better by making you feel worse. Why did you take the money from Dad? I asked. Because I am a screw-up, Matthew said flatly. I had debts from this business thing I tried, this partnership that went south. I was embarrassed. I did not want anyone to know I had failed again, so I borrowed money from Dad and told myself I would definitely pay it back. But then I could not pay it back, because I still did not have a real job, and the debt just got worse, and I was too ashamed to admit it. So you just let it sit there, I said. Yeah, he said. And then Dad got sick, and I knew you were helping them, because Dad mentioned it once, and I got even more jealous. Because you were able to help and I was not. You were the good son and I was the failure. So I lashed out. We sat in silence for a while. Outside the window, people walked by, living their normal lives, not knowing they were walking past two brothers trying to figure out if they still had a relationship worth saving. I do not need you to be perfect, I finally said. I just need you to stop treating me like the enemy. I know, Matthew said. And I am working on it. The therapist is helping. I got a job, too, nothing fancy, just working in sales at a furniture store, but it is steady income. I am putting together a payment plan for Dad. It is going to take me a while, but I am going to pay him back. That is good, I said, and I meant it. I miss Sunday dinners, Matthew said quietly. I miss the family. Then come back, I said. But if you come back, you have to actually be there, not just there to make yourself feel better by putting me down. Deal, he said. We did not hug or have some big emotional moment. We just finished our coffee and went our separate ways. But it felt like something had shifted, like maybe we could find our way back to being brothers instead of rivals. Matthew came back to Sunday dinner about a month later. It was awkward at first, everyone dancing around the elephant in the room, but slowly things started to feel normal again. He did not make any comments about my job or my money. When Dad mentioned I had helped pay for a new roof repair, Matthew just said, "That is really cool of you, man," and left it at that. It has been about 4 months since the big confrontation now, and things are different. Better, I think. Matthew is still seeing his therapist, and he has been consistently working at the furniture store. He gave Dad his first payment toward the loan last month, only $500, but it was something. Dad cried when Matthew handed him the check. Mom and Dad are doing well. Dad's heart is strong, and Mom has relaxed a lot now that everything is out in the open. They even took a little weekend trip to San Antonio last month, their first vacation in years. As for me, I am still the same person I was before all this happened. I still drive my used Honda, I still live in my modest apartment, and I still clip coupons. But I feel lighter somehow, like I do not have to carry the weight of Matthew's resentment anymore. I posted about the whole situation on Reddit about a week after the confrontation, mostly because I needed to process what had happened and get some outside perspective. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of people commented, and the general consensus was that I had done the right thing. Someone called me the soft-spoken Avenger, which made me laugh. Another person said I was the hero the family needed but did not deserve, which felt a little dramatic but also kind of nice. The thing is, I did not do it to be a hero or to get revenge. I did it because I was tired of being made to feel guilty for being successful, tired of watching my brother hurt our parents with his lies, tired of pretending everything was fine when it clearly was not. Sometimes you reach a breaking point, and you have to decide whether to keep swallowing your feelings or to finally speak your truth. I chose truth, and it blew up a family dinner, but it also cleared the air in a way that nothing else could have. Looking back, I wish things had gone differently. I wish Matthew had never taken the money, or if he had, that he had been honest about not being able to pay it back. I wish he had not spent months tearing me down to make himself feel better. I wish our parents had not been caught in the middle of our mess. But this is where we are, and we are making the best of it. Matthew is trying, genuinely trying, to be better. My parents are healing from the betrayal and the secrecy. And me, I am learning that sometimes love means setting boundaries, even with family, especially with family. The next Sunday dinner is this weekend. Mom is making tamales, and Dad is excited because his birdhouses are finally getting some visitors. Matthew texted the family group chat asking if he should bring anything, and I suggested he bring dessert. He sent back a thumbs up emoji. It is not perfect, we are not perfect, but we are showing up, we are being honest, and we are trying. That is more than I could have said 6 months ago. I do not know what the future holds for me and Matthew. Maybe we will get back to the close relationship we had when we were kids, or maybe we will always have this slight distance between us. Either way, I am okay with it. I did what I needed to do. I stood up for myself and for our parents, and I refused to let someone else's insecurity define my worth. And honestly, that is enough. The comments on Reddit still made me smile when I read them. People said I handled it with grace, that I was patient beyond measure, that the confrontation was justified and even necessary. One comment that stuck with me said, "You gave your brother a gift even if he did not see it that way. You gave him the truth, and the truth is what finally set him on the path to change." I think about that a lot. The truth hurt, it hurt all of us, but it also freed us from the lies and the pretending. We cannot move forward if we are still carrying old secrets and resentments. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to stop enabling their behavior and force them to face reality. So yeah, I brought up my brother's secret loan from our parents at a family dinner, and it was messy and painful and completely necessary. I would not take it back if I could. Because now we are on the other side of it, and we are building something real, something based on honesty instead of resentment. That is worth more than any amount of money I could ever make.